is Daniel Mart, back again. I'm an actor and filmmaker based out of South Florida, and for this video, I'm basically going to give you guys my reactions to the Oscars that happened this weekend on March 2nd, discuss everything that happened during that event, during the Oscars, discuss the winners, the losers, everything in between, just my thoughts on the overall event. And yeah, but before I actually get started on that, I actually want to discuss something that happened before the event. Because lately, in the past few years, the Oscars have been like very odd, for some whatever odd reason. They've been very difficult to like find or watch, whether it be online or on network TV. And this year they're on ABC, but they also had a contract deal with Hulu. Here's the thing, I got Hulu for free. I did the free trial because I wanted to watch the Oscars. Last year I tried to watch it on TV. I had a lot of trouble just because of not networking issues, what's the word, but like, you know, cable issues or whatever's going on. So I tried to watch it online. I tried to watch it on YouTube for whoever was trying to live stream it over YouTube, but it's one of those things that because it's the Oscars, it was being taken down like every 5 minutes, so it was very hard for me to actually watch the Oscars last year. Same thing happened with the year before that, and I think the year before that I actually wasn't even able to watch. I was actually working. I believe I was filming, spending some time together, because that would have been the year of Chris Rock and the Slap. So for the past few years, this has been very difficult for me to watch it. So this year, I was like, you know what, screw it. Let me actually genuinely watch the Oscars without stressing out, without there being any issues. And I see that they're doing it over Hulu Live. Now, I did try to do it over YouTube Live initially, but for whatever reason, I guess I had already tried to watch something over YouTube Live in the past, or YouTube Live TV on the past, so it's one of the things that if I recreated the account, I would have been charged, and I'm like, I don't want to be charged, so screw that. So I went over to Hulu, and come to find out, on the time of the Oscars, Hulu decided to completely crap out and crash for like the first hour and a half of the show. You guys had one job, literally one job. How do you not expect there to be such a huge influx of people during the Academy Awards that you're not able to properly handle this? And that's on top of the fact that there was also some, I believe it was a soccer game or a very big soccer game going on during that time as well. So now you have this huge influx of people, of sports fans and movie fans, trying to watch on your sites, everything, and your whole website just completely crashes out. That really honestly pissed me off. It's like, really, you guys had one job. What the heck? So it's one of those things, like one of my friends was literally just texting me, like not live tweeting, but like live texting me like, hey, this award was finally given out. This award was finally given out. For me, it finally fixed itself a little bit after Best Animated Feature was announced. And at that point, once it was fixed, after like an hour and a half after it was fixed, I told my friend, hey, shut up. Don't message me anymore. I'm gonna watch this from the start. Hopefully it doesn't crash out anymore and go from there. But yeah, that was not really a good start to the Oscars at that point. So going on with the actual events of the show, the opening monologue with Conan was great. Now, as I've stated in the past, I just do not like Jimmy Kimmel at all. I think he's a blight on comedy. I think he's a blight on the Oscars. The reason that he kept getting those Oscar hosting gigs is because his wife was a producer on the previous shows, and I thought, you know, nepotism essentially, and yes, I understand the industry is about networking, I completely understand that, and, you know, I can't really blame the guy for getting a job because he's networked well. I can't really blame him, but it's one of those things that, I'm sorry, Jimmy Kimmel, actually, I'm not even sorry, I don't care. Jimmy Kimmel is not a comedian. He is barely an entertainer in his own right. He can't even host his own show properly to begin with. I'm not talking about the Academy Awards, I'm talking about the Jimmy Kimmel Live show. He can't even barely host that show correctly without boring people to sleep within 5 seconds. So when Conan was announced that he was hosting the Oscars, I was ecstatic. One, because Kimmel is no longer hosting the Oscars, thank God. And two, because, oh, we finally have an actual comedian this time around. Thank you. Now we're not going to be bored to sleep. We're not going to have some kind of cringe fest thing going on like what happened with like La La Land or any other times that he just tried to butt in with some, hey, I'm Jimmy Kimmel type of crap jokes. So that was fantastic. So the opening monologue was honestly great. Him coming out of Demi Moore, so to speak, and doing that notch of substance. That great joke on Carla Sofia Gascon, how, you know, the only person who has probably done more cursing right now is Gascon's publicist speaks about the tweets. That was hilarious. The thing with Adam Sandler was hilarious. Like, come on, and him going to Timothy Chalamet. That was all great. All of that was great. Some of the other jokes he did, like the one random shot he did at Drake at halftime. That was, bro. Like, Drake cannot catch a break at all. Granted, valid for obvious reasons. So there's that, and even the whole thing with the firefighter tributes, which I'm not gonna lie, it's not that it was cringe at first, but it's one of those things like you kind of expect this, and it kind of just seemed like we kind of have to do this because they saved our lives about a month and a half ago, 2 months ago. So it was one of those things that it felt just a little bit forced, in my opinion, at the beginning, and then they said jokes, and that one joke against Joker 2, Folio 2, was like, bro, that's hilarious. Like, they immediately cut to Monica Barbara's reaction, and it was just hilarious. Like, she, like, didn't know how she was supposed to laugh or not. She was like, it was hilarious. And, like, bro, another movie that just cannot catch a break at all. And that was just hilarious, in my opinion. Some other highlights of the show before we get to the actual awards. So the In Memoriam, I actually like the In Memoriam, to be honest. I understand a lot of people don't like the In Memoriam this year, mostly because of the music. I actually didn't mind it. I actually liked the way they did it this year for the most part. Now, granted, they did miss out a few names, like Tony Todd was a huge name. They missed out Alain de Leon, which is like a famous French actor. I'm surprised he got missed out. Michelle Trachtenberg, who literally also died last week. Ken Page. There's a few other people that they missed out. I'm like, why weren't they not there? Why were they not honored? And it's one of those things, like, every year you always have these complaints, like, oh, you left this person out, you left that person out. You always leave people out. I do think the one kind of good thing from last year's In Memoriam that I kind of expected them to do this year, even though I'm not a complete fan of it, at least you honor them in some ways, that at the very end, in that big circle, the circle they have there, they were just going to put the names there. And you know that's where they're going to have Tony Todd, Trachtenberg, Ken Page, whoever, and all these other people that died in the past year. I thought they were going to do that, which, in my opinion, I'm still not a huge fan. I kind of just wish they would have just do a, 10-minute slideshow of everybody who died, who's important, and go from there. But if that's how they want to do it, that's how they want to do it. But it's not. They don't even do that. They just do the slideshow with the ominous music, so to speak, which, again, I actually really liked it. And they just cut at the end to, like, In Memoriam. It's like, oh, we don't even get the names at the end. Like, I generally thought that that's what they were going to do, but I guess not. So, yeah, just wanted to give my thoughts on the In Memoriam. Some other aspects of the show where, not that I liked, it's more like, why did they do this? I'm sorry, but James Bond tribute, just why? And I don't mean that to be, like, dismissive of it, but, like, one, we had a James Bond tribute, like, 2-3 years ago, already as is. And yes, I understand there's the news that, was it Apple or Amazon, who now they have the rights to James Bond. So when that James Bond tribute was happening, I thought, oh, are they going to announce a new Bond? And, there's always been a lot of discussion as to who the new Bond is going to be, whether it be Idris Elba or Aaron Taylor Johnson or Henry Golding, like some of the names have been thrown out there, or this or that person. I'm like, oh, are they going to announce a new Bond, like, through this? I mean, it seems kind of random, but sure, why not? And it's like, no, they're not. You have Margot Qualley, which is now dancing, which, I'll be honest, I actually didn't realize that was Margot Qualley at first. So, like, I looked at Instagram, like, oh, that was Margot Qualley. Holy crap. Okay, cool, nice. So I didn't think much of it at first. But then the one thing that kind of, it's just like, why? And yes, I do think the tribute was way too long, so there is that. And part of it had to do with the singing. And this is no disrespect to the singers. It was like Doja Cat and Ray, and I forget who the other singer was. There's no disrespect to them. But it's one of those things, you guys are singing songs that belong to other artists. And that's not to say you can't cover a song, but it's one of those things like, we have Paul McCartney. We have Adele. We have, I forget the name of the singer right now, but we have the person who's saying Diamonds Are Forever. Why are you singing this? It makes no sense. Like, they're alive. Fly them to LA, here on the Dolby stage, and have them sing it. It kind of reminded me of what happened a few years back with Encanto when they were doing the We Don't Talk About Bruno tribute thing. We Don't Talk About Bruno, that was a big song that popped out of Encanto. Even though Dos Orgullitas, that was the one that was nominated. We Don't Talk About Bruno, that was the one that was, like, caught everybody's attention, and they wanted to honor it in some way. However, instead of allowing the actual cast of the movie to sing it, they got, funny enough, Doja Cat was also involved in that. They got, like, Doja Cat, and I forget who the other singer was. It was, like, Ricky Martin or something like that, or Enrique Iglesias, I forget right now. Maybe Maluma? I don't remember right now. But they got other singers to sing the song instead of the actual cast. Like, they gave the cast like 30 seconds, and then they gave Doja Cat and the other singer the bulk of the time. And on top of that, they didn't even sing the original song. They, like, added lyrics to it that made no sense. It was like, oh, what was the point of this? And that's kind of how I felt with the James Bond theme. Like, one, why are we honoring James Bond again if we're not going to announce a new James Bond? And that's the other thing. Like, it kind of reminded me of what happened last year, where they start to tribute or honor stunts people. I'm like, oh, are we finally going to get a stunts category announcement? It's like, no. So we're just having this random tribute because why not? It's just like the same thing. Now we're having this random James Bond tribute because why not? So it just seemed like very out of place and random, in my opinion. So there's that. I do like how they presented some of the awards. I believe like best costume design. I believe cinematography was also another one that was like there, editing, where they brought stars of the film to discuss the work that was done on the film in regards to their respective genres or awards that they're giving out. Like the stuff with Boy and Yang, and he's like, hey, why am I in costume when you guys aren't in costume? And yes, granted, I know that's a skip, but I found that very funny. And I liked how usually we see that with the actors. We've seen that with the actors for the past few years, and they said they weren't going to do that this year for the actors, in part because of Emilio Perez, but they said they weren't going to do that with the actors. But I like how they still did it with the technical categories, because again, the technical categories I feel in general are just something that's ignored. I feel a lot of people think that way, that it is ignored, and the fact that now we're giving a spotlight to this is great. And I hope that next year, the following years, they do that even more. Maybe do it with every single award. Why not? Screw it, why not? So go from there. And yeah, and now I'm actually gonna get to the awards. What I got right, what I got wrong. I'm just gonna go down the line and give my thoughts on every single award. And some of these, I'm gonna have my computer right here, which is, I'm looking at it, so that's what the screen just got brighter. But yeah, now let's go over some of these awards. All right, so out of 23 awards, I got 8 wrong. That's how much I got wrong. I'm not sure what my average is across every year, because I think I only started predicting awards like last year or the year before, and even then, last year was the first time I really discussed it, because I started my YouTube channel halfway through 2023. So last year would have been the first year where I have this. Wow, this light is really bright on this side. Let's see if I can do something. Nah, that's gonna be bright. I guess we're just gonna have to deal with it. Whatever. So yeah, I'm not really sure if 8 out of 23 is a good average for me or not, but we'll see in the upcoming years. So yeah, but that metric's probably gonna be figured out within like next year or the year after. So yeah, we'll see. But right now it's 8 out of 23. So the first one I want to discuss is best visual effects. I predicted Dune 2. The winner was Dune 2. No surprise there. The speech was good, I thought, in my opinion, overall. So yeah. Next up, we have best editing, and this one I predicted Conclave to win. I did think that Honora was in second place, but I thought Conclave was going to win at the end. I just thought that the editing for that movie was so much tighter as opposed to Honora. That's not to say that the editing for Honora was bad, but I do remember a lot of people saying, hey, Honora does have a few pacing issues. It does feel a little bit long, but I also thought that at the same time that maybe they're going to give Sean Baker 4 Oscars. That could still be a possibility, and lo and behold, it was a possibility. Jesus Christ. Despite that, I still thought that Conclave was going to be the ultimate winner, but again, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't have been surprised had Honora won, and well, Honora won. So that was the first Oscar for Honora. That was the first win for Sean Baker, and honestly, I thought he had a good chance to win picture. I thought he had a good chance to win director and screenplay. Editing is the one I was kind of like 50-50 on, like really 50-50 on, and it's one of those things, even before the awards, I thought like, okay, if you could take editing, then there's a good, like, if he wins editing alone, that tells me that he's going to win Best Picture and Best Director, like, with that alone. And he won editing, and then he won Best Picture and Director and Screenplay, but we'll get to those once we get there. But yeah, I'm not surprised. Again, my first pick, again, was Conclave, but again, my second place was Honora, and I wasn't surprised when Honora won. Best costume design, Wicked won. Not surprised there, to be honest. I wasn't the biggest fan of Wicked. I expressed this many times. A lot of it has to do with the fact I'm just not the biggest fan of the musical as a whole, as well. Like the original Broadway musicals, there is that too, and I just didn't like the idea that Wicked was split into 2 movies. I thought that was actually very messy, and I just thought the movie wasn't that well made, and X, Y, and Z, whatever. But I did think that this is one of those areas where Wicked actually did a good job, and it deserves to win, and it deserved to win. And Tazwell, the costume designer, I guess he's the first black man to win an Oscar in this category, in best costume design. So hey, great for him. Congratulations, nice. Love to see new, the glass ceiling breaking every which way. Next up, we have best makeup and hairstyling, and here we have The Substance and a little bit of False Hope, which I'll get to once we get to best actress. I mean, yeah, The Substance deserved to win. I mean, what else was gonna win? I mean, realistically, what the next actual legit winner would have been maybe A Different Man or Nosferatu, but at least in my opinion, but realistically, probably Wicked would have won afterwards. But yeah, so yeah, The Substance won, let's be honest, because of Monster Lisa Sue. It's not really a surprise. I mean, if you saw that movie, it's great. And not that it necessarily has to do with the makeup and hairstyling, but like, in general, that movie is just a gore fest, especially at the end. So hey, why not? Just give it to it. So yeah, I'm really happy that Substance won that award. That I won a award, any award in general that was nominated for, because there's the one award I'm gonna get to that I'm very, very disappointed in. But we'll get to that once we get to it. So yeah, next up we have Best Cinematography. The Brutalist won. I predicted The Brutalist. Not surprised there. I thought that I forget the name of the guy right now, but I thought that the cinematographer, Law Crawley, right, that was his name, Law Crawley. I thought he gave a great speech overall. I mean, I think so far most of the speeches were well. There's very few of them that are cringe, so I'm just gonna stick it with that. So yeah, next up we have Best Production Design, and I predicted Wicked won, no surprise there. Next up we have Best Sound, and this is one where I actually predicted A Complete Unknown to win. However, in my prediction video, I said Dune 2 should win. A Complete Unknown is what's probably gonna win. And well, like I said, Dune 2 should win, and that is what won. So yeah, I mean, regardless, I did predict A Complete Unknown, so I did get that one wrong. But overall, I am happy that Dune 2 won. Dune Part 2 won. I mean, it's been discussed to death, but like Dune Part 2 really got shafted this award season. I think a large part of it has to do with the fact that it did release like in March or April of last year, whereas the original Dune released like October, give or take, of whatever year that was, like what, 2021. I think that's the real reason why Dune 2 got shafted so hard this award season, is because like you guys just released it at a bad time. Essentially, that's what it really comes down to. You guys should have released it later on in the year. So it's good to hear that Dune Messiah is going to be released later on in the year, whenever it comes out, like in 2 or 3 years. Hopefully for Dune 3, for Dune Messiah, hopefully that actually works out for it. Hopefully Denis Villeneuve actually gets a directing nomination for that eventually, in general, like even if not for Dune 3, that he gets a directing nomination eventually, in general. So yeah, but again, I predicted A Complete Unknown. I got it wrong. Dune 2's what won. Cool. Next up, Best Song. El Mal won. And yeah, cringy speech, just very self-aggrandizing, very just no. And then they saying at the end, like, I'm sorry, but that was just like, why? Just get off stage, like. I'll talk a little bit more about this later on once we get to Adrian Brody, to be honest. Actually, no, I could have also set up for Best Sound. I'm sorry, I've just never liked, and this is for all Oscars, like every single Oscar show, I just feel it's very disrespectful that you have an orchestra there playing people off if they stay over 45 seconds. Like, no, this is their moment. Some of these people, like, for example, like the Best Shorts people, like some of these below the line nominations, like sometimes this is the only time they're going to be on stage. Let them say their message, even if it's just thank their grandmas. I don't care. Let them say their message. Let them say their thank yous. Do not play them off 45 seconds. That is super disrespectful, and I've always hated that. I straight up just hate that. And it started with the Best Sound. Like I thought the little John Lithgow thing at the very beginning, like, oh, if you talk for too much, we're just gonna cut to John Lithgow, but you still talk. Like if it was something like that, something stupid like that, and it was a joke, and they did make a joke out of it for the first few speeches, I was okay with that. I'm like, oh, thank God you're gonna cut that crap out. But no, literally in Best Sound, the first one to do it of all Best Sounds, the first two guys talked, and then the third guy wasn't even able to talk because they started playing him out, and I'm like, what just happened? I was like, literally, what? Like he literally gets to the mic and they start playing him off, and the two people who are there, the people who announce the award, and then they always have like the 2 or 3 other people that are with them. They start like walking them off. I'm like, no, let him speak. What's going on? So I'm really happy that a certain somebody told him to basically screw off. We'll get to that later. But yeah, I just found that very disrespectful. But if they were gonna play anybody off at any point, it should have been here for Best Song. Like nobody wants to hear you sing. At that point, actually give me the In Memoriam music that everybody found creepy. Why not? But like, look, I'm never gonna say that about any speech. But if they're gonna play off any speech, it really should have been the people from El Mal. Like for so many reasons. Like you guys cut off like a bunch of these nominees during their special moments, and you're not gonna cut off these 3 charlatans who like. I don't get it. I just don't get it. So you want to talk about like also people are saying, oh, Adrian Brody gave himself a grandizing speech. No. The people from El Mal, they gave himself a grandizing speech. Next, Best Score. So here's the thing. I predicted Conclave for Best Score. Part of it had to do with the fact that I just prefer the score for Conclave a lot more than The Brutalist. Thing is that I guess I just didn't realize how much support the score for The Brutalist had in general. So because of that, The Brutalist won. But like either way, I don't really care. It's one of the things that I've expressed in the past that I actually don't really pay that much attention to the score in the background, usually. So it's one of those things that if I like a score, if I like vaguely remember, I'll maybe search it up later on YouTube or on Spotify and like listen to the score. if I remember, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, this one I really don't care that I got it wrong. It is what it is. Cool. Next up, the shorts category. What the hell happened here? So there's this website or app called Gold Derby, which they help predict what's gonna win, or like they help in predicting what's gonna win. And apparently, for 2 out of the 3 shorts categories, what was on Gold Derby was completely just misaligned with what actually happened here. Granted, I'm not really on Gold Derby, but I do know some stuff that's going on because I watch other YouTubers and watch videos and whatever, saying like, oh, this is what it says on Gold Derby, so I kind of have a vague idea as to what's going on. So because of that, on animated shorts, and here's the thing, also these are the short categories. I generally don't even know what's going on in short categories, so you're just plucking them out of a basket from whatever limited knowledge I have of what's going on in those categories and predict from there. So because of that, for animated shorts, I picked One to Wander. Turns out, in the Shadow of the Cypress one, apparently that was in 4th place to win according to Gold Derby. For live action short film, Alien, or A-Lion, or how do you pronounce it, Alien, how do you pronounce it, that's what I predicted to win. That's what a lot of people predicted to win. No, I Am Not a Robot is what won. Again, that was in 4th place in Gold Derby. Documentary short film is the only one that everybody more or less got it right, because it was the only girl in the orchestra. And it's funny because people have commented on how usually the short categories, they either go to one or two things. They either go to an auteur director, like last year, where Henry Sugar won for Paul Thomas Anderson, PTA. So it usually goes to some kind of auteur director, or it goes for a short film that has a message to it. And ironically, The Only Girl in the Orchestra doesn't technically have a message. I believe I Am Ready Warden, that was the one that had a message, a really nice message to it. I believe it's for a documentary short film, and a lot of people thought that was going to win, for example. But no, it turns out to be The Only Girl at the Orchestra, which is like a little biopic documentary. And look, not to say it's bad, I haven't seen it, and I mean, it got nominated for an Oscar. Granted, so did Emilia Perez, but Emilia Perez is a lesser film of everything that was nominated here. Despite that, Only Girl in the Orchestra was still nominated for an Oscar, and so that means it was still good. But it's one of those things like, oh, that's the only one that actually won, and that's the only one that technically didn't have a message per se compared to the other documentary shorts. So I guess there was some kind of, not confusion, but there was like deflation with that. Like, oh, that's what happened. I know in animated short film people were also predicting Yuck. I know for Alien, Silent Man, something like that, or The Man who Couldn't Stay Silent. That a lot of people predicted that as well. But no, it's I'm Not a Robot. Okay, cool. Who cares? Those are shorts. I really don't care. Next up, documentary feature. Northernland, that's what I predicted. That's what won. And I do like the speech that they gave, especially with them saying, hey, we're Palestinian, we're Israeli. We have to unite. Now, not to get too political here, and I'll completely admit, I really do not take my word for a grain of salt because I really don't know what's going on in the Middle East. I don't really understand the issues. So I'm not trying to spread Zionist propaganda or whatever you want to call it right now, but it's one of those things. I never really understood the war in the Middle East in that regard when it came to Israel and Palestine. I'll be completely honest. It's one of those things like, why can't you guys just live together? I'll be honest, the same way with Russia and Ukraine. Why can't you just guys like coexist? So I've never really understood that, and I don't understand why that's such a controversial take in general. Like, let people have their own state. Like, if they want a Jewish state, let them have the Jewish state. If they want a Christian state, let them have the Christian state. We already have Vatican, so whatever. So, like, I've never understood that. So, like, let them... I don't understand, like, hey, no war. Why is that such a controversial take? So, you know, again, I'm completely... I'll be honest. Like I said, I don't really know much of what's going on in that area. I'm completely misinformed. But I'm like, hey, war is bad. So, like, them saying, hey, let's bring unity to our countries, to our areas, to our sectors. That should be a very easy message to get behind, but as always, people want to turn this political and be like, no, because this is bad, because Zionist or anti-Zionist or whatever that word is supposed to mean. I'll be honest, like, I've looked up the definition, I kind of just don't care after a while. So yeah. Next, we have international film. International film, I predicted I'm still here, especially because Emilia Perez was just like dying because of Gascon and Audiars mostly. So yeah, and I'm still here one. I'm honestly very happy that I'm still here one. Because, like, hey, we give it to a film that's not controversial. Now, granted, I did think that Emilia Perez could still pull it out because, well, 13 nominations. But what else do you want me to say? But no, at the end, I'm very happy that I'm still here one. I'll be honest, I still haven't seen I'm Still Here because it's just, like, stupid hard to find here in the States. In any state. So, hopefully I'll see it eventually. Keyword there is eventually. If not, I'm so happy it won. I'm happy for Brazil. You guys won an Oscar. Alright, next up, Best Animated Feature Film. And here, I predicted The Wild Robots to win. And honestly, I am happy that The Wild Robots lost. Because it lost to Flow. For me, Flow was such a better film than The Wild Robots. And that's not to say that The Wild Robots is a bad film. I just preferred Flow way more than to Wild Robots. And yeah, that being said, I I predicted Wild Robots, and that's just where the momentum went. And no, Flow won. I am very, very happy for that, because we basically got a silent film that wins an Oscar because of this. It's about a cat, and I love cats. And like I said, it's just a better film. And also, this is the first win for Latvia in any category. So that's amazing. And also, like, this got nominated for another. This also got nominated for Best International Feature Film. So there is that. So, you know, Flow did really good, all things considered. I mean, all fairness, so did the Wild Robots. I mean, this got nominated for here, got nominated for Best Score and Best Sound. So it did really well. But it's kind of insane to think that Wild Robots is the one that left without any wins over Flow, which was almost definitely to be leaving with 2 losses, so to speak. But no, it's actually the other way around. Wild Robots, 3 losses, Flow, 1 win. Or it got, 50%, whatever. So, yeah, I mean, that's honestly really amazing. I really like it. It was fun. Next up, we have Best Adapted Screenplay. Conclave was always going to win this. I predicted Conclave. Conclave won. What do you want me to say? Next up, Original Screenplay. I predicted Honora. Honora won. What do you want me to say? I will say for Honora, or for Screenplay, Original Screenplay, I did think that there was a small chance that Substance could have taken it at the end. But it's one of those things that either they're going to give Sean Baker 4 Oscars. If he's going to miss in any section, it could be editing, or it could be screenplay. It could be one of those two. However, for editing, like I said, maybe it goes to Conclave instead. For screenplay, however, I just felt like if it was gonna miss to anything, it would have been The Substance, and maybe A Real Pain, because it did win a few awards as well. But I still felt more confident that I was gonna go to Honora, and of course I went to Honora. So yeah, now the 2 best supporting actor categories: supporting actress, supporting actor. Well, I said this in my predictions video, but I think the fact that they are nominated in the supporting categories is just category fraud. I do not like the fact that either of them are nominated in that category. I feel very strongly that they're both co-leads of their respective movies. Kieran Culkin has a little bit more of an excuse to be in supporting, just by the sheer virtue that he's in like 5 minutes less than Jesse Eisenberg. But Zoe Saldana, she's in like 5-10 minutes more than Gascon. So like, and I'll be honest, Saldana, yeah, she swept the season. I mean, Kieran Culkin and Saldana, they all sweep the season, so it's like, yeah, of course they're gonna win. It'd be a shock if they lost, actually. But it's one of those things, at least with Kieran Culkin, he gave a good performance. I'll say that much. At least with Kieran Culkin, he gave a good performance. One that I can actually respect. It's a great performance. It was such a powerful and emotional performance. And I thought his speech was fantastic. Like him saying, "Hey, wife, I'm ready for child number 4. Let's go." It was hilarious. Him shouting out Jeremy Strong was great. Zoe Saldana, I'm sorry. First off, that was not a good performance. Like, I genuinely think, all controversy aside, I genuinely think that Gascon gave such a better performance than Zoe Saldana. That's for starters. And I'm sorry, but Zoe Saldana just like was sleepwalking throughout most of that film. And when people saying, "Oh, what about when she was singing?" I'm like, it's not really helping her case, because a lot of the singing in that movie is just like kind of sing-songy type of music where you barely even have a beat, where you don't even have a beat in the background. It's just like them talking with a little weird tone on it, and it's like, that's not really singing. It's just, again, you're kind of just sleepwalking through it. Like, Elle Mall is literally probably the most awake she is in the whole movie, like straight up. I understand it's career narrative, and that's another thing I'll get to in a bit. Career narrative. Yeah, but I understand the career narrative. Like, she's a great actress who's done a lot of great work, both Star Trek, Guardians of the Galaxy, Avatar, whatever. So I understand you guys want to honor her, but can it be for a movie where she's actually trying? Like a good movie, first off, a good movie in general, and can it be for a movie where she's actually trying to do something different, like where she's not sleepwalking throughout the entire film, like, and that's on top of the fact that, again, this is not a supporting performance. This is clearly a lead performance. In my opinion, I would have voted for Isabella Rossellini, because that's the other thing. The one positive thing about this is the fact that at least Ariana Grande did not win. I still feel very strongly that Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo should not have been nominated for Best Actor, Actress, or Supporting Actress. And I also feel very strongly that Wicked should not have been nominated in Best Picture, but that's besides the point. But I think that's really the one good thing I can say about it, that, like, hey, at least Ariana didn't win. And I'll be honest, I did not like Zoe Saldana's speech at all. I felt it was very, not self-aggrandizing, not like that, but I just felt it very cringe. It's like, you're saying thank you to these controversial figures of Gascon and Jack Audiard who have said horrible stuff, and you're thanking them and saying like, "Oh, you're gonna be a huge part of my life, and my tapestry or whatever, like my personal tapestry and all this." Like, I just felt like, no, like, it's very. It would have been, I'm not saying you should denounce them per se, because that'd be, I don't know how it would look on your part, on your behalf. But like, I don't know, just ignore them. Just thank your parents, God, and whatever, and just go from there. You know, because the movie is about Mexicans and the trans community, maybe try to smooth it out in some capacity and say thank you to the trans community, thank you to the Mexicans, the Mexican or the state of Mexico, the country of Mexico. But it's like they didn't even do that either. Like they didn't even do that, which was very. I mean, granted, neither did when El Mal won. They also didn't say thank you to Mexico, thank you to the trans community. Like, bro, that's what your movie is supposedly about, and neither of you decide to recognize that. Like Honora, every single time they won, they thanked the sex industry workers, the sex industry community, whatever. It's like that's a film that actually is trying to honor the community that they're catering to, whereas opposed to what you guys are doing. It's like, bro, it's insane. Like, it's like congratulations on being like the first Dominican to win the Oscar, but like, who cares when you're in such a terrible movie and your performances, you're basically sleepwalking. Like this act, like I'm not gonna lie, this actually made me lose respect for Zoe Saldana. This actually made me lose respect for Zoe Saldana. And I'll be honest, I haven't seen her other speeches and these other award shows. I just know that she was sweeping, so I can't even tell you if this is the worst speech she's given of the whole bunch or not. But I'll be completely honest, this like legitimately made me lose respect for Zoe Saldana in so many levels. As for Kieran Culkin, if anything, maybe gain more respect for him, I guess. It's like, I still don't think he should have won, just because, again, that's a co-lead performance. Well, again, at least Kieran Culkin actually gave a performance. At least he actually tried in his movie. Even if, not a complete unknown. Even if, not Hard Truths. What's the name of your movie? Jesus Christ. A Real Pain, even if A Real Pain was a bad movie, he would have at least given still a strong performance in it. At least I have respect for him in that respect, in that regard. So there's that. Cool. Now next up are the leading actor categories. So who do I want to talk about first? I'm gonna start off with Adrien Brody. Yes. And I'm not just saying that because he won. Look, he was my winner pick. He won. Congratulations. But now, because of him, because he literally told those people to shut up, do not play me off, let me have my moment. Hey, I've done this before. Don't do this right now. Do not cut me off. That is what you should do. Like I said, I've always absolutely hated the fact that they cut people off. This is their moment. I don't care if this is their 5th win. I don't care if this is your 1st win. I don't care if you're from Latvia. I don't care if you're from Ukraine, Russia, Palestine, America, Canada, Mexico. This is your moment. Let them have their moment. Stop cutting them off after 30 seconds. Let them actually speak. So Adrien Brody, that was a power move. I respect it so much. I gained so much respect for Adrien Brody after that. He deserved that. And then some people are saying, oh, he was able to do that because he was white. He was able to do that because he's Adrien Brody. I don't care. Anybody could have done that. The guys from the sound category who won Dune, you know, Tazwell who won for costume design, any of these people could have done that. You know, Sean Baker, Mikey Madison, I don't care. Even Jack Audier could have done that. I don't care. It's the fact that somebody finally stood up to those people, the orchestra, and told them, no, shut up. Give me my moment. And some people are saying that his speech is self-aggrandizing. Look, I don't care. If anybody deserves to have a self-aggrandizing speech, it's Adrien Brody. After the power move, the absolute power move that he pulled off. Massive respect. Because now he is standing up against that kind of disrespect I've always hated. Massive respect. And now, we get to the leading actress. Yeah, I'm sorry, but Demi Moore was robbed. I said it. Demi Moore was robbed. Here's the thing. Substance was my favorite movie of last year. Demi Moore in Substance was my favorite performance of last year. You're looking at all these other performances. Zoe Saldana, Kieran Culkin, Adrien Brody. They are, to a certain extent, all 3 of them are being given their Oscar award because of career narrative. Kieran Culkin coming from all the way from Home Alone, being on Succession, one of the most successful shows in recent years, and then his first movie being this, that's a career narrative. Adrien Brody having won for The Pianist, being the youngest person at 21, 22 to win an Oscar over like Jack Nicholson at the time, and I forget who else was nominated in that category, and that was a surprise win at the time too. That was actually a dark horse pick, honestly. That was a shock nomination, shock win. Almost 20 years later, over 20 years later, he wins again. That is career nerve, and especially because in the past 20 years, like, it's not that Adrien Brody's done bad work, but he has. I don't feel like he's been recognized as much as he should have in these past 20 years, as much as as much as the industry believes that too, I think the industry also kind of is trying to make it up to Adrian Brody, like, hey, we haven't respected you as much as we should have, we haven't casted you in enough roles as we should have, so here's kind of like this makeup thing, like, and because you gave such a powerful performance. Again, Zoe Saldana, like I said, she's been doing great work in a bunch of other movies, Guardians of the Galaxy, Star Trek, Avatar, even the Nina Simone movie that she got some hate for because of blackface or whatever. She's been, even Colombiana, whatever, she's been giving great work time after time after time. This is the one time she decides not to give great work, but besides the point, but she won because of the career narrative at the end of it. Like, I'm sorry, that is a career narrative win. You're waiting for Amelia Perez. No, I'm sorry, that's a career narrative win. So logically, especially with what we've seen in the past, RDJ, Cillian Murphy, Ke Huy Quan, you know, all these people, Brendan Fraser, Michelle Yeoh, they've all won because of their career narrative. This is one of the most powerful career narratives, and it makes sense with the movie. The Substance is all about, hey, I don't want to be ignored because of the younger generation, because there's now this new, hotter, more beautiful, more talented actress. I don't want to be forgotten. That's literally what The Substance is about. And yes, I completely understand that it had an uphill battle. Like, horror does not do well at the Oscars in general. Like, horror is greatly discriminated against, especially in the acting categories. Like, so many great horror performances in the past that should have been recognized that just weren't. You know, you had Toni Collette for Hereditary, for example, Mia Goth in the X trilogy, for example. You know, Daniel Kaluuya for Nope, for example. I believe he got in for Get Out, but he didn't get in there for Nope. So many great horror performances are ignored. So, like, this alone, to a certain degree, is a win. But it's like, especially because of what that film is about, Demi Moore should have won. And then for them to say Mikey Madison, and here's the thing, I'm not gonna lie, it was always between Demi Moore and Mikey Madison, but I didn't realize how absolutely deflated and devastated I was gonna be when I heard Mikey Madison's like, I was like, what? Like, I was in shock that she actually won. Granted, I still knew it was a possibility, but like, when that happened, I just didn't want to believe it. It's like, what just happened? And it kind of made no sense, and I almost just actually had to go back and listen to her speech because I was so in shock the first time. Like, I really was not paying attention. I'll say this much: at least she thanked the community that she was catering to, Zoe Saldana. So there's that. At least she did that. But like, I don't understand. I don't think it's a win. I think this, in general, this win will age well, but Demi Moore should have won. I'm sorry, Demi Moore, and even to a lesser extent, Fernando Torres. It's one of those things, like, we all thought maybe if Demi Moore and Mikey Madison split the vote, maybe Fernando Torres comes up on top. Like, honestly, Fernando Torres winning would have been another amazing win. Actually, I think out of the three of them, Fernando Torres would have been the win that ages the best, if I'm being honest. Out of between Demi Moore, Fernando, and Mikey Madison. But then, I'm kind of torn about that win, about the Mikey Madison win. Because here's the thing, it's not to say that she gave a bad performance. I'm not saying that at all. I actually do think she gave a great performance. If I had to say, like, what are my top 10 performances of last year, she'd probably make the list. She'd probably make the list, to be honest. It'd be in the bottom half, so like some like 10, 9, 8, 7 or 6. But she'd still be on the list. Demi Moore will be number one. That's the thing. And also career narrative, and I just thought she gave such a better performance in general. And I did have a conversation with a friend of mine, and it reminded me of two things. It reminded me, because I haven't been this deflated with a win since Stallone and Mark Ruffalo both lost the Oscar to Mark Rylance. It's like, why did Mark Rylance win? I remember in that Oscar season, my winner pick was Sylvester Stallone. Granted, I did realize that maybe Sylvester Stallone doesn't win for whatever reason, so then my second choice was Mark Ruffalo, and then Mark Rylance wins. It's like, why did Mark Rylance win for a movie that was like, it was average. Bridge of Spies was average. Like, it was a good movie, but it was kind of an Oscar-beating movie. It's like, why that? And it's like, I started thinking, like, what has Mark Rylance done after Bridge of Spies? Like, the only thing I could think of was, like, he was in BFG, and, like, that's about it. But, like, then I look at his IMDb, and, like, oh, wait, no, he's been in a lot of other stuff, like Dunkirk, for example, and whatever. But the thing is with Mark Rylance is the fact that he hasn't really had a spotlight like that. Like, he's usually playing a supporting role. BFG, I haven't seen BFG, but I'm still assuming that's kind of a supporting role, despite the fact that he's a title character. But, like, that's the thing, like, the reason, Bones and All is probably the most, between BFG and Bones and All, that's probably, like, the two most high-profile things he's done, actively done. Again, I know he was in Dunkirk, I know he was in a few of them, Chicago 7, he was in charge of Chicago 7 as well, but, like, it's one of those things, like, he wasn't the standout, he was just part of the ensemble, if that makes sense. So it's like, I kind of related to that in that sense. It's like, in the sense that like Mikey Madison better prove her worth in the next couple of years, because then I actually think if she doesn't really prove her worth in the next few years, then that Oscar may actually not age as well as it probably should. Because then I was also thinking like back when Brendan Fraser won, like it was Brendan Fraser versus Austin Butler for Elvis. It's one of those things like had Elvis won, I would have been saying the same thing, like, oh, he low-key better prove his worth in these next few years. And, well, he has proved his worth because he was in Dune 2. And when Dune 2 first came out, a lot of people were saying, like, oh, could Austin Butler maybe get a surprise supporting actor nomination? Granted, that was very early on, back in March and April of last year, so, you know. Now, current day, clearly that didn't happen. That was not really a thing. But, you know, he's done great work in that. He was also in The Bike Riders, which is another possible Oscar contender movie in halfway through the year of last year. He was also in this World War II series that's kind of like Band of Brothers, The Pacific, but just like the air version of it. So he's also in that series. So he actually has been doing active work. So it's one of those things that Austin Butler won the Oscar. He is actively proving his worth. Now, granted, Mikey Madison just won the Oscar like 3 days ago, so it's kind of too early for her to start proving her worth per se. But like, it's one of those things that I do genuinely think that she needs to prove her worth now, in order to like kind of say like, hey, this is why I won the Oscar. Like, I didn't just win. Like, this win wasn't just a fluke. Like, I am proving my worth in order for it to actually age properly, in my opinion. And that's just me. That's just me, though. And I'll be honest, just like going on IMDb and seeing that Demi Moore nominated for one Oscar, and then going on Mikey Madison's profile and seeing one Oscar, something about it just seems kind of wrong to me, because like, no, that should be Demi Moore. That really should be Demi Moore. Like I said, she is not a popcorn actress, and the fact that they kind of did this to her makes it seem like she kind of is a popcorn actress again. So yeah, this is the most disappointing one, and I've probably gone on for like the past 10 minutes just talking about this one nomination alone. So I'm gonna go on to Best Director, where I predicted Sean Baker. I did think Brady Corbet could maybe a surprise win here, but Sean Baker for Nora won, not Brady Corbet for The Brutalist. So yeah, Sean Baker won. That's what I predicted. That's who won. And then at the end for Best Picture, when I did my predictions, I was torn between Conclave and Anora. It's one of those things I thought either or could win. At the very end, I did say Conclave, but I also said I wouldn't be surprised if Anora won, and Anora won. Like I said, the second it won Best Editing, I knew it was winning Best Picture. 100% knew. And I guess to a certain extent, that should have been my first guess that Mikey Madison could win. And honestly, it never dawned on me that Mikey Madison could win, because I was so hooked onto the Demi Moore thing about it. But yeah, Anora won Best Picture. Again, they did everything right. They thanked who they were supposed to thank. Zoe Saldana, Jack Audiard. A lot of these people thanked who they were supposed to thank, aside from those two people from Emilia Perez, where they decided to just give a very self-aggrandizing speech and then sing the most cringe thing ever. Speaking about cringy singing, I completely just remembered this. That Quincy Jones tribute, what the heck was that? That was, I actually skipped it. I generally didn't even finish watching that, because I'm like, this is so cringy, this is so bad. So I literally just pressed fast forward, since I was so behind. I was watching it, because Hulu decided to screw up at the very beginning of the season. So yeah, so I just couldn't fast forward through that. Yeah, Anora won. I was very happy for Anora, and yeah, this is a huge win for independent filmmaking. That I do think in the past few years has been on the rise. Ever since Coda and Nomadland won Best Picture, I do feel like independent filmmaking has been on the rise, and Sean Baker being one of the most current day, modern day, iconic independent filmmakers there is right now, and him having won all these 4 Oscars for one movie was just amazing. And yeah, that's another stat that was broken. He is the first person in Oscars history to win 4 Oscars for the same movie. The only kind of similar one to this is Walt Disney, back in like the 50s, where he did win 4 Oscars, but they were all for like different little short films and short movies or whatever. To a certain extent, he is Walt Disney. Anora. Sean Baker is now Walt Disney somehow. So I guess this makes Anora his Cinderella. I guess. Overall, actually, that is a fair comparison, all things considered. But yeah, overall, I thought the award show was great for the most part. Again, he had some very cringe moments. I really didn't understand that James Bond thing. The Quincy Jones tribute, what was that? Emilia Perez just being here in space in general was just not necessary. And those self-aggrandizing speech. But it did have a lot of great moments. The opening monologue was great. Adrian Brody basically saying, hey, no, give me my time, was amazing. So yeah, I mean, overall, just great. Oh, Adam Sandler, of course, because Adam Sandler. Overall, I think it was a great show. Why not? And yeah, we'll see what happens next year. So yeah, so I think that's basically it for now. Comment down below and let me know what you guys thought of the award show. Did you guys get your predictions wrong or right? And do you guys disagree with some of the stuff I said? I don't know. Comment all that down below. Let me know. And yeah, that's basically it for now. This is Daniel Mart signing off.